Okay, so here I am in Photoshop. As you can see, I've already designed a logo here. Um, but if you want to start from the beginning, if you go to File and then go to New, you get a number of options here. Because we're working with the web, we're going to select Web. The pixel sizes are too large at the moment, but it is 72 dpi, so it's ready to use with the internet. Give your document a name and then click OK. But I've already done that, so I'll just carry on. I haven't spent too long designing this, but as you can see, I've got a little background here, which is this on layer 1, which I haven't labeled. So if I just double click here, I can call that BG for background, and I've just simply got DMWP just for the sake of ease for this exercise, and I've applied a filter to each of these. So you can see I've put a slight bevel and emboss on there. So if I double click a layer like so, we get these little layer styles, and I've ticked on bevel and emboss just here. And as we can see, we get some different modes here. We get a normal and dissolve and things like that. But that's for the general layer style. But if you want to edit these, you click on them so that they go light blue, like so. So click on there, and that's where you get your styles. So with my emboss, I could have a pillow emboss on that layer, and that will update here. But I quite like just the ordinary emboss, and you can change the depth and things like that. So you can see that my D is changing there now. But I think I'm going to leave it as it is for the while, because you can go in and have a look at the other things. So you can have a color overlay if you want, but I don't, so I'm just going to turn that off. So that's an easy way of changing the individual letter styles. So please experiment with these if you want to. Just sometimes make some more interesting, well, image really. So I'm just going to click OK here. So to add those layer effects, you just simply double click on the layer here, and to start the animation, I'm just going to do something very simple. But this is too big at the moment. I don't want the entire background, so I'm going to go to my crop tool, which is over here, select that, and we get these little handles around the crop tool. So I'm just going to simply drag those down. So I'm going to get rid of the white background. So yeah, that's correct, the white background, and then move that just to there, and here we go. I want it a little wider too. Yeah, that's not quite working out how I want it to. Okay, that's alright. I'll just do something like this. So, yeah, I've made it a little smaller, but that's okay. So I'm going to hit the Enter key, and there we go. We can see that my background has moved ever so slightly there. So I'm just going to move that back over and make it the correct size. Right, okay, so I'm happy with that. Excuse me. The next thing I need to do is make a timeline so that I can actually animate this, which is this little thing down here. So when you click Create Video Timeline, you can see that all your layers are separated. So I'm going to do something quite easy to begin with. I'm going to fade them in one by one. So on the background here, we can see this little triangle. If I click this, we can see a couple of things here. We have the position, opacity, and style. So the first thing we need to do is have a look at the timeline here. This counts in seconds and frames, how actually, well, long the animation is. But the first thing you need to do is create what's known as a keyframe. So with opacity, I'm going to just move into 1 second here, and you have to click on opacity, which is this little stopwatch thing here. So when I click that, did you see that this little diamond appeared, which is what we want? Okay, so that is called a keyframe, and that's at 100% opacity. Your opacity is over here. So let's have a look at this. Yeah, this is in your ordinary layers tab. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the animation and I'm going to change the opacity to 0. Oops, not 1000. 0, like so. And hit enter. Okay, it wants an actual number. There we go. And what you'll find now is I've got a new keyframe here at the start of the animation. So that's good. If I press the space bar, that plays. And this little blue thing here is a little bit like the playhead in Premiere or Avid or something that you get. That it tells you where you are in the animation. So what I've done here is I've pressed spacebar, but I've not done anything with these letters just yet. So I'm going to select the D first, this layer. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just fade it in ever so slightly. So I'll move in a little way, and then I'll click on the opacity so we get a keyframe, and then move backwards just slightly so that when the background fades in, that opacity will be 0. Like so. I've done it again. Okay. Whoops. Click on 0 there. So the D will disappear. So this is getting quite big now, so I'm just going to move this up so that we can see, because my logo is tiny anyway. So we can see these little keyframes spaced out. So all we've done is fade in the background, then the D. I want to do exactly the same with the M. So again, with this little, what's called a disclosure triangle, I click here and I move a little way into the animation again. Just let me get rid of that zoom for you. And again, I will add an opacity keyframe. So you get this little triangle, and then move backwards, and then I'll do it properly this time. Type in 0% there. No, I didn't do it again. Like so. So now what we have is something like this. Ah, you get what I'm trying to do here. I'm fading in the letters one by one. So same principle, I'm going to move slightly in. Make sure that you select the actual layer that you're editing, so you can see that when I click on any layer it becomes highlighted in white there. I'll just do that for W. And again, I'm going to add a keyframe a little way in here. Same thing on opacity, little diamond appears. I'm going to move backwards, and then I'm going to select opacity again, click on 0. I'll do this properly. 0, enter. And then when I press the spacebar, the W fades in. I'm going to do exactly the same with the P. And again, I move slightly and I've select the P layer. I open that here. Click on the opacity, so it's set at 100% here. I move back slightly and then click here and click on 0. I've done it again. Here we go. 0. So what have we got? Let's have a look at our little animation here. The background fades in. W. B. Quite simple, but effective. And if you want this to happen quicker with these little keyframes, you can always pick them up and move them so that animation will happen quicker. So I'm going to do like this, just picking them up. And what I want to do is line up the keyframes so that when each one fades in, they're lined up like this with this little red line. You can be more precise with these numbers up here. This will take a little bit of practice, but that's okay. Here we go. I'm going to pick these ones up together and then move them. I move this closer together. Oops, no I'm not. I need to deselect both of them. Click so it goes yellow. Move it closer. and then on the final one up there, let's move that. They usually snap to the keyframe underneath, which is quite handy. Right, so this should just simply animate quicker now. Let's just go to the beginning with the playhead and hit play. Okay, let's have a look at a few more parameters in the next video. Okay, look at video 2. This is going to be Photoshop Animation 0.